Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am a logical lefty, and I've got a great program for you today. So, look, I'm gonna not cover the whatever we're calling that signal gate or waltz gate or open the gate. I don't know, right? I'm not gonna cover that today, okay? Because everybody else is. And it feels like a little bit redundant. All right, but I am going to cover a bunch of other stuff that isn't getting a lot of play, and hopefully that will keep your interest. Okay, and so we've got Crockett versus Abbott. So Governor Hot Wheels. Okay, is that offensive? Hmm. I'm going to talk about it. Okay. So that's going to be an interesting segment there. We've got Florida rolling back child labor laws. Oh boy. We got Mike Johnson trying to take down the judiciary. I kid you not. That is a disastrous story. We've got Donald Trump going after law firms for challenging his executive orders. And we have, of course, a bigot gets challenged and runs away. Oh, of course, they always run away and cry, and so that's the story we've got today. All the stories, I should say, we've got today. A lot of fun, a lot of controversy, at least in the first segment. So stick around for the entire show. You're going to love it. All right. That said, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Those of you who are watching it live, those of you who are not watching it live, you can fast forward, I guess, if you really want to, because this is basically where I will, thank people for being channel members or patrons as well. In fact, membership, Toby Dandelion, thank you for joining as a supporter over on our YouTube channel. Thank you. Hit the join button below if you want to be a YouTube member. And then, of course, patrons, thank you for being patrons. Thank you for signing up for that over at patreon.com/jeffwaldorf. Hey, thank you, Progressively Independent, for signing up to be a basic supporter on YouTube as well. I really appreciate that. You guys and gals help the show continue. I trust me. I'm looking at my analytics and I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Okay, things are not looking good as far as YouTube revenue, earnings go, views go, whatever. And I really need to get a better, more stable base of support. And that's what this is. So, and that's what I'm trying to do here by directing people over to Patreon. It's not good on YouTube unless you're a right-wing channel because they get all the preference here. So I'm going to have to do what I'm going to have to do. And that is to ask for your support. And for those of you who give it, I thank you deeply. All right. With that said, why don't we go to the first story here? Jasmine Crockett versus Governor Abbott. Fun times.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
The right wing is flipping out over those comments made by Representative Jasmine Crockett, who called Texas Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. All right. This happened during a human rights campaign dinner in LA on Saturday. And immediately the right wing was filled with frothing apoplectic rage. I kid you not. Here we go. You have Scott Jennings, governor of Texas. Greg Abbott has used a wheelchair since 1984. That's an ironic year. When he was tragically paralyzed in an accident. Today, the unquestioned leader of the Democratic Party, Representative Jasmine Crockett, mocks him with the insult, Governor Hot Wheels. Is that really an insult? I mean, I like Hot Wheels. I mean, I especially liked it when I was a kid. I don't know. Daily Caller writes, Jasmine Crockett calls Texas Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. Abbott is paralyzed below the waist and has used a wheelchair for over 40 years. You can see Elon down there going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they would say something like that. I can't believe she would do that. How dare she? Riley Gaines, famous for just being an extreme loser in sports. Okay. Says, how this woman is an elected official is beyond me. Well, Riley, you see, when people go out and vote for a candidate, they have choices, and people chose Crockett to represent them. I know, it's really, really simple. Tommy Loren says, making fun of a governor in a wheelchair, new low unlocked by Ratchet Jasmine. Wow, okay. So now, look, Abbott, as I mentioned, he was paralyzed from the waist down by a tree that fell on him while running when he was 26 years old, right? So he uses a wheelchair, and I don't really see here how what she said was offensive towards people in wheelchairs. It's not saying that, hey, governor, you are not qualified to be a governor because you were disabled. Nothing like that. Just saying you're a governor of Hot Wheels, and you're a hot mess. And I see that's why she tried to make that joke, right? So now Crockett came out and said, look, I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Now that is true. He did bus migrants to predominantly Democratic cities in the years 2022 through 2024. His state spent about $140 million on that program. So, yeah, Hot Wheels, right? That said, Republicans are now falling over themselves to be inclusive to the disabled community. In fact, here is Abbott responding to this on Sean Hannity's show.
I take it personally when friends of mine are attacked viciously for no reason, and there's no way in hell that this woman and her ex-post is going to convince me she meant anything other than what we all believe it to be. Your reaction?
Well, Sean, is another day and another disaster by the Democrats. The reality is they have no vision, no policy. They have nothing to sell but hate, and Americans are not buying it. It's one reason why Texas is going to remain red and why Republicans are going to continue to win elections across the country. The fact, Sean, is that Texas is actually in direct contrast to what she was talking about. Texas has ranked #1 for the most new jobs in America over the past month, #1 for the most new jobs over the past year and for several years. Texas ranks #1 for the most new economic development projects for 13 years in a row. CEOs who run businesses have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 20 years in a row. And Texas is in the vanguard as it concerns the future of the United States, such as space exploration, such as artificial intelligence, such as semiconductors, as well as power generation. The bottom line is that Republican states like Texas are leading the way, and with comments like this by Democrats, we will just leave them in the dust in future elections.
Oh man, Texas is just so great. It's so great. All right, Texas is amazing, and it completely the opposite of what Crockett was talking about. You realize that Texas actually ranks 41 on a scale of economic opportunity, right? That's not good. 44th in equality, 45th in environment, 29th in education. I'm actually surprised it's that high. 31st in healthcare. Look, it's great for business though. Why? It's because they have low taxes and less regulation. That's it. So, of course, businesses are going to love it. They're going to love it. But, okay, let's get back to Crockett, though, and the right-wing freakout. So now, what? You suddenly care about the disabled? It's funny because Doge and Donald Trump are attacking disabled people all over the country, cutting off vital services. According to the Center for Budget and Policy Priorities, the Trump administration, including Elon Musk and his non-department Department of Government Efficiency, have taken actions risking creating unprecedented delay, degraded customer service, and unnecessary barriers for millions of beneficiaries to be able to access the benefits that they have earned. That is a real attack on disabled people that is going to have real impacts. Not only that, but of course, you look at rhetorically, right? Elon Musk and Republicans have brought back the R slur. You know, going after disabled people, calling them the R word. And during Trump's first presidential campaign, yes, oh, you all remember this, Trump openly mocked the disability of a New York Times reporter, Serge Kovaleski. Yeah, how Donald Trump did not lose the first time and second time as a result of that, I mean, come on. Come on. Not only that, but his administration has also killed DEI, which helps disabled people get jobs, including, by the way, wounded veterans. About 6,000 of the employees that were just fired by the Trump administration, at least 6,000 have been veterans. So I'm sorry, but I am not buying the right wing's performative bullshit outrage on this. No, I'm not. Now, that said, look, disability rights activists did speak out, and they weren't exactly thrilled with this. And I'm going to share that. Josie Bizik, Senior Communications and Digital Experience Director at United Spinal Association, said Governor Abbott sometimes has policies that are harmful to people with disabilities, and that's terrible. Representative Crockett has a history of protecting the programs and rights of people with disabilities, and that's wonderful. At the same time, the stigma is real. Yeah, yes, of course the stigma is real. But as you pointed out in your own statement there, actions do speak louder than words. So now Emily Ladau, disability rights advocate and author, was a bit more harsh towards Crockett, saying that the Democrats want to be as inclusive as they claim they do, and ensure that people with disabilities are actually recognized as being welcome under their political umbrella, then you have to be thoughtful about your words. And when Crockett made that joke, she was really punching down, and she knew she would get a laugh. Again, I'm going to disagree with that, because she wanted to say Hot Wheels, hot mess. All right. But I can understand why Emily would think that way, right? Because let's be honest, our country really does punch down a lot at the disabled. Okay. And Ladau adds, right now, we're in a really tenuous times where you don't want to make a foe out of someone who is otherwise a friend like Crockett clearly is. But we cannot hold one side to account and not the other. Again, I really do think that this was not intended to be a slam against the disability. Chase Bearden, executive director of the Coalition of Texans with Disabilities, said the reaction to Crockett's statement is a reminder for both sides of the political spectrum to, quote, stop using someone's disability as the basis of an insult. A person's disability doesn't affect their ability to do their job, whether they're a governor, a reporter, or an air traffic controller, Bearden said in a statement. Lawmakers of all stripes should spend their energy crafting and implementing policy that serves all Americans, not mudslinging. Well, once again, Crockett's statement didn't say anything about his ability to be a governor, to serve as a governor. He's a Republican governor, and so, yes, hot mess. Because Republican governors, they implement policies that hurt average people and help giant corporations, okay, and crap all over disabled people. So, I mean, her making that statement, generally correct, all right? Now, That said, in an email to Politico, Crockett's chief of staff, Kimberly McLean, said that Crockett, quote, in no way meant any harm towards the governor or meant to take lightly any medical conditions that he may have, adding that she would continue to advocate for the needs of our disabled neighbors. Look, here's the thing. This is what Republicans do that force Democrats to fight, right? They take an issue like this, right, and they weaponize it, okay? Well-meaning people attack that person for making a wrong statement. And then the right sits back and watches us rip each other to shreds over it. That's what's happening here. I refuse. I refuse to do it. I refuse to help the right wing. The same right wing that would openly, call for the killing of disabled people for being a drain on the system if they could. Okay? Look, Elon Musk is pretty close to saying that already. I like that Crockett is a fighter. And I don't believe that she intentionally mocked Abbott's disability. And I'm not going to fall for the right wing's performative outrage. Because that's what this is. This is performative outrage. And neither is she, by the way. And I'm glad that she's not backing down, because too many Democrats always back down when they're criticized by the right wing. But she's not. She further wrote on X that she's even more appalled at the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. Quote, keep that same energy for all people, not just your political adversaries. Bingo. Look, we got to keep our eye on the ball here, okay? The protection of people with disabilities from the people who want to take away every accomplishment, which is what they're doing here, and every opportunity for the disabled. Crockett, it's not the bad person here. It's the right wing. Vertical Flats, thank you for the $2 super chat. Saying, Abbott is a whiner. He destroys lives. Yes. And as some of you point out, that Jose Kelly says, calling Hassan the R word. Yeah, Elon Musk doing that. Yeah. Aaron Pimentel disagrees with me. Says, pretty sure it's because he was in a wheelchair. We can acknowledge that and not be like the right denying what their politicians really meant or said. Again, I don't think so. I will disagree with that. And that's okay. Right? I do think that it is because of shipping migrants, Hot Wheels, right? She wouldn't have called a governor who was not in a wheelchair Hot Wheels. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but I still don't see the huge problem because of the fact that this is mainly performative outrage. They don't actually care about anyone who is disabled. Even people on their own side, by the way. All right. Let's move on here. Let's go to the fields. It's fine to disagree, Aaron. And thank you for that. All right. As President Donald Trump continues to crack down on undocumented immigrants, states like Florida that have a very large agriculture base are predictably running into a bit of a manpower shortage. But don't worry, though. They have a solution. More child labor. That's right. On Tuesday, the Florida legislature advanced a bill that would loosen child labor laws, allowing kids as young as 14 years old to work overnight shifts, and not just overnight shifts, but ones on school days. Oh, you gotta get up for school? No, you don't, because you're working overnight. Great. Now, currently, students are prevented from working earlier than 6:30 a.m. or later than 11 p.m. However, they're looking to change that. The bill passed through the Florida Senate Commerce and Tourism Committee on Tuesday with 5 votes in favor and 4 against. So, yeah, they're just, they're going to do more child labor, everybody. Child labor. And look, the bill will pass through 2 other relevant committees before being put to a vote with the full Florida Senate. Governor Ron DeSantis has already signaled his support, so if it gets through that, he's going to sign it into law. And not only does he support child labor, but of course he supports Trump's crackdown on immigrants. In fact, DeSantis said last week at a panel discussion with Tom Homan, quote, why do we say we need to import foreigners, even import them illegally? When, teenagers used to work at these resorts, college students should be able to do this stuff. Well, okay, we're not talking just about college kids here, all right? I don't know any 14-year-olds in college, okay? I know it happens sometimes, but I don't think that should be your workforce, 14-year-olds, all right? Especially since a lot of these jobs, I'm talking the agriculture jobs, I'm talking the meat packing plants, they're actually pretty dangerous jobs. People have died in those plants. Kids have died in those plants from the machinery. Do you want a 15-year-old to do an overnight shift at one of those places, then go to school the next day, and then go show back up to work without getting any sleep? Come on. What kind of dystopian hell are you trying to create? Seriously. No, here's the thing. Economists continuously warn that kicking out immigrants and doing child labor is going to absolutely backfire. And it's true. For one, I don't think that many parents are going to be cool with their kids doing overnight shifts on a school night. All right. And other changes, by the way, in this law are even worse. One change completely eliminates working time restrictions on teenagers aged 14 and 15 if they are homeschooled. Okay. Another change ends guaranteed meal breaks for 16 and 17-year-olds because, sure, they're still growing and all. So, but do they really need to eat? And you really need a meal break? I mean, come on. You kids are only here to make me money, so I don't care if you're hungry. I don't care if you get hurt. No, get to it. Get back to work. Make me money. Make me money now. I mean, literally, though, child labor violations in Florida have tripled from 95 in 2019 to 281 in 2022. According to the U.S. Department of Labor data cited by the Florida Policy Institute. In 2023, they had 209 violations. And that's just Florida. Across the country, even more. And some of these violations have led to actual deaths. I mean, in Florida, and I know this is a 19-year-old, died when a cement mixer powered on at the worksite. Yeah. In other states, you had younger workers that have lost their lives on the job. A 16-year-old, for example, died after sustaining on-the-job injuries at an industrial site in Marjack Poultry, at the Marjack Poultry plant in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Duvan Thomas Perez, who NBC News reported moved to the U.S. from Guatemala 6 years prior, was cleaning the machinery as part of a sanitation crew when he became trapped in equipment on a conveyor belt. He died at the scene. So, look, it's bad enough that immigrant and undocumented labor is being killed in these workplaces because these corporations, of course, want to hire cheap. Okay? That's what they want to do. They want to hire super cheap. And immigrants and undocumented labor is desperate enough to be able to work at these jobs that are very dangerous and do not pay very well. Okay? And that's the reason, of course, that they want this. And also the other reason that corporations, in lieu of having immigrant labor, are like, okay, child labor then. Child labor. Oh, great. That's great. They don't want to pay enough people enough money to work at these crappy jobs. They also don't want to invest in safety. They don't want to invest in more workers, obviously. They don't want to slow down their lines to reduce workplace accidents. It's all about, for them, putting out more product faster with less workers, because that means, of course, they make more money. More money for the bosses. That's it. And without being able to exploit the undocumented, they're now looking to replace them with kids. Great. Awesome. Okay. Gotta love that. Moving on here. Oh, Jose Kelly says, it's a subterfuge. If you care about the disabled, then put DEI back in the policy. Yeah. Yeah. Virginia wants to lower the marriage age as well. Yeah, unfortunately. For some reason, there's so many right-wingers that are obsessed with wanting to marry kids. Weird. That's super weird, you guys. I got a right-winger in here. Why do you want to marry kids? I don't understand. If anybody can answer that, please let me know. Why do you want to marry children? So weird. All right, moving on. MAGA Mike Johnson has a plan to hit back against judges that have dared to rule against Donald Trump. Just get rid of the courts. Let's get rid of the courts. Republicans are not happy with the judiciary for blocking some of Trump's more unconstitutional actions. Like, for example, using the Wartime Alien Enemies Act to justify mass deportation of non-criminal immigrants. And there's a lot of people that have been shipped off to El Salvadorian prisons that have no criminal records whatsoever. Oh, but we got to do that because we're being invaded. Really, by who? Who's invading the country? Who's invading the country? All I see here is asylum seekers. Come on. So of course, and as a response to this ruling that he didn't like, Trump and his allies, they're going to do some pretty authoritarian, power grabby stuff. In addition to threatening their funding, Trump and his conservative allies have called for the impeachment of federal judges, such as U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. So they're calling him, oh, you left-wing partisan judge. He's actually made some rulings that are beneficial to the Trump administration. Okay. But it doesn't matter. Johnson told reporters, we do have the authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power of funding over the courts and all of these other things. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. That's right. You're going to act to appease a man baby. Sure. Johnson later clarified his statement, saying, well, I'm simply making a point about Congress having broad authority over the creation, maintenance, and the governance of the courts. Article 3 of the Constitution established the Supreme Court, but gave Congress the power to ordain and establish the lower federal courts. Now, he's right that, yes, the Congress does have certain powers over these courts. It's part of our system of checks and balances, right? And they have been able to abolish certain courts. For example, in 1913, Congress abolished the Commerce Court, and its judges were redistributed to the Federal Appeals Court, according to Congress.gov. In 1982, Congress passed legislation abolishing the Article 3 Court of Claims and the U.S. Court of Customs and Patent Appeals, and established the Article 1 Court of Federal Claims and the Article 3 U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. Okay, so yes, of course it's possible. But here's the thing. Seriously getting rid of judges for simply ruling against Trump would send a pretty clear message here. That Trump is a dictator intent on stomping all over the judiciary. That's it. Republicans are seriously looking to do this. There is no extreme MAGA in the Republican Party. The Republican Party is the extreme MAGA. In fact, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan plans on now holding a hearing based on going after Boasberg and other district judges next week. He said he will be speaking with GOP appropriators about what he called legislative remedies. Quote, we got money spending the appropriations process to help try to address some of this. And again, they're just targeting judges that ruled against Donald Trump. Instead of, allowing the merits of the arguments to play out, they're just like, yeah, we're just going to skip that. We don't have a good argument. We don't have any merit at all. So we're just going to shut down the courts. Oh, great. Great. Look, yes, this is what they're trying to do, but it's not going to be that easy. House Republicans need near unanimous agreement to pass a funding bill that would defund courts on the floor, which would be pretty difficult given their pretty, narrow majority. The Senate could also almost certainly reject any funding bill or package that defunds the courts. To pass it, Senate Republicans would need at least 7 Democrats and to join them in order to defeat a filibuster, and some Republicans might vote against such a proposal. Senator Josh Hawley said eliminating a district court would create massive backlogs. My view is, I'd like to get more Republican judges on the bench, Hawley said. If we take away seats, we can't do that. Well, look, that right there is at least honest. Oh, yeah, man, we'd love to pack the judiciary with MAGA guys. But, we can't do that if we get rid of the courts. At least it's logical. At least that makes sense. Fair enough, right? Yes, at least that's the right way to look at it. Hey, we want to win them, not just get rid of them. What are you thinking? Well, they're not. Okay. There are other ways that they're trying to stop judges, by the way. Johnson said the House would vote next week on a bill from Representative Darrell Issa that would bar district court judges from issuing nationwide injunctions. The judges, especially, we're talking about district court judges, are overstepping their boundaries, said Representative Tim Walberg from Michigan, a Johnson ally. Absolutely, I appreciate the ISA bill, he added, and I may go for more. But right now, that's where I stand. Look, I cannot stress how short-sighted all these Republicans actually are. They're doing all this in service to a man baby. That's it. They really believe that there is no way that this will end up bouncing back on them. I think it's because they really do believe that they are going to have one-party rule and are trying to do everything to make sure that it's their party that is able to rule. So, moving on here. Tiny Mike has a secret. What kind of secret is that? Maybe I don't want to know. Okay. But I would hazard a guess that it's
sexual anarchy.
Something to do with that. All right. Moving on. Trump coins. Melania coins. Oh, geez. All right. Oh, it gets worse. The Trump administration is officially coming after a law firm for representing a client in a case that challenges one of Trump's executive orders. So on Tuesday, the president signed an executive order targeting the law firm Jenner and Block for being involved in a court case looking to challenge the executive order banning gender-affirming care for trans youth. Trump wrote in his newest order, Jenner engages in obvious partisan representation to achieve political ends and supports attacks against women and children based on a refusal to accept the biological reality of gender. The conflation of sex and gender is so like first grade, okay? Which makes sense because none of these people appear to have graduated first grade. or had any sort of education in gender at all. Idiots. Idiots. Now, he also criticized the law firm for opposing the administration's attempts to conduct mass extrajudicial deportations of immigrants for trying to hire a diverse workforce. Oh no, a diverse workforce. Oh my gosh, there's black people working for you.
Oh no!
Ugh. And for working with Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller in his investigation into Russia's support of the president's 2016 election campaign. You know, the whole bots and trolls and things like that online. Now, Jenner and Block are also working on behalf of the ACLU to block the president's ban on gender-affirming care. The ban prohibits the federal government from funding, promoting, or supporting gender-affirming care for people under 19 in any way. In any way. So that includes pronouns. That includes haircuts. Okay, that includes people dressing the way that they feel comfortable with. Okay, and so part of that included even cutting off funding that was pre-approved by Congress for any medical schools or institutions that research, provide, or teach about gender-affirming care. We're not even going to look into it. You know why they cut off the education? Because they're afraid that these studies will come out and prove them wrong. This is Nazi stuff. Okay. Now, in their lawsuit, the ACLU accuses the president of trying to, quote, unconstitutionally usurp congressional authority by withholding lawfully appropriated federal funds. True. The lawsuit also says the president sought to violate the rights of trans youth by depriving them of necessary medical care solely on the basis of their gender assigned at birth and their transgender status, PBS reported. Look, it is necessary care. Remember, gender-affirming care is endorsed by just about every major U.S. medical association. It is safe, it is effective, it's essential to the well-being of transgender kids. It reduces suicidal ideation and is also completely reversible. There's no surgeries that are happening, okay? This is, you know, at most, it's puberty blockers, which at some point you have to stop taking, okay? As well as, you know, other things. Like puberty blockers, hormones, those are reversible, okay? Now, the order targeting Jenner and Block directs government agencies to revoke any security clearances held by the firm's attorneys and to end all federal material support to the firm. It also requires all government contractors to alert the administration if they plan on working with the law firm, and directs the director of the Office of Management and Budget to provide a list of all entities that do business with the firm. I think this is obvious and clear retaliation. This is worse than lawfare, and this is just the latest firm that has been targeted specifically by Donald Trump in executive orders. The administration had already used executive orders to try to strip security clearance at Covington and Burling, Perkins Coie, and Paul Weiss. So that is all law firms. The orders for Perkins Coie and Paul Weiss additionally barred their attorneys from entering federal buildings, which can include places like courthouses. How the hell are you supposed to represent your clients if you're not allowed to step into a courthouse? I mean, that's the whole point, to try to stop them from doing so. He is trying to put these firms out of business so that they cannot challenge or represent clients that want to challenge his unconstitutional, illegal orders. This is completely and utterly authoritarian. These orders require all federal contractors doing business with the firms to disclose that relationship so that he can retaliate against them as well. There it is. Not only that, but over the weekend, Trump signed another executive order which encourages the Attorney General to refer attorneys for disciplinary action if it is determined that they have filed frivolous, unreasonable, and vexatious litigation. All of that is incredibly vague and open to interpretation. But that's the whole point. It is supposed to be vague so that you can abuse it. That's the whole point. They want to abuse this. And sadly, it is having an effect. One attorney at a major law firm, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal dynamics, said that while parallels to McCarthyism are obvious, yes, remember when they were hunting the communists in the government? Gigantic witch hunt, indefinite abuse of power. Okay, this, according to this attorney, says these firms are facing ruinous economic damage as a result of Trump's orders. The president and those closest to him know that they have the ability to put more than a squeeze, a crush on law firms who have lawyers who speak out, advocate, organize, represent in a way which is unpleasant, undesirable for the administration, the source said. So lawyers and law firms are wanting to keep their head down and represent as small a target as they possibly can be. That right there is incredibly concerning and has already caused Paul Weiss to promise about $40 million worth of pro bono work to Donald Trump in exchange for lifting the order. So, of course, these other law firms are kind of mad at that. Like, hey, you are giving him exactly what he wants. You are not standing up for yourself, and you're not standing up for the law. You're not standing up for potential clients. You have just completely given up. Covington and Burling, which provided pro bono services to former special counsel Jack Smith, were also hit with the order. And since then, they have kept a low profile. That said, there are others that are fighting back. In a statement responding to the order, a Jenner Block spokesperson said, "Today we have been named in an executive order similar to one which has already been declared unconstitutional by a federal court. We remain focused on serving and safeguarding our clients' interests with the dedication, integrity, and expertise that has defined our firm for more than 100 years and will pursue all appropriate remedies." Perkins Coie, which conducted political opposition research during Trump's first presidential campaign, they were hit with the order. Part of it forbade the firm's attorneys from entering these government buildings, but has been blocked by a federal judge temporarily because it was challenged. The order, they wrote in the suit, imposes these punishments as retaliation for the firm's association with and representation of clients that the president perceives as his political opponents. So, look, here's the thing. They're not only coming for the judges, like Beryl Howell, James Boasberg, but are coming for all the law firms that challenge him and are trying to get rid of district courts. Make no mistake, this is all part of a full frontal attack against the judiciary. And that is because the judiciary right now is serving as the very last bulwark between us and totalitarian right-wing rule. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm going to be back. I got something to take care of real quick. And then we will do the final segment. Stay ready here. Got to add my cat in here. And so, cat wanted out. All right. With that said, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. Helps us out greatly. Thank you to those who have signed up so far to support the show. With that said, let's go to the final segment here. All right. A school board member in Kentucky literally got up and ran away from a hearing after being challenged over some homophobic Facebook posts. Union County Public School Board member Don Yarber loves to, like a lot of right-wingers, post his opinion online on Facebook. Okay, you're allowed to do that. However, like a lot of right-wingers, Mr. Yarber is not too keen on being challenged for his beliefs. Yeah, that's right. In fact, his posts include things like, quote, "Keep letting those queers influence the minds of your children." I'm sure that the LGBTQ rest MOV and the rest of the alphabet of degenerates will feed them and take care of them. What? Really not that many letters, bro. Seriously. He continued, "They won't have any sickness except AIDS, mental instability, suicidal thoughts, jobs, wealth, self-respect, or righteousness." Wait a minute, hold on. They won't have sicknesses like jobs, wealth, self-respect, or righteousness? Are you sure that's what you wanted to say? Okay then. All right. Great. There's a lot to say about this, okay? But let me just start with, I think we're all aware that you cannot influence someone into being gay, okay? You can't make someone into being gay. You either are or you're not, or you're somewhere in the middle, right? It is a spectrum. There is a spectrum here. And this guy, I don't know, I just have this feeling that gay people tend to live rent free in this man's head. He's spending a lot of time thinking about the queers. But what's funny is how fast this snowflake melted when he was challenged by one of the people that he was ranting about. That's right. During a school board meeting on Monday, a dance teacher in the school district, Mark Lamb, who also is an openly gay man, told him, quote, "I've dealt with bullies all my life. So, Mr. Yarber, when you made those comments on Facebook, they roll right off me because I've developed a very tough skin." Yeah, as a lot of people in that community have. Okay? When I was a kid, I suffered messages like you said, when you cavalierly mentioned suicide, and they made me not want to be alive. I believe that all of us can do better. Even the bullies. Even you, Mr. Yarber. So now apparently Lamb, bless his heart, had a little too much faith in Mr. Yarber, who immediately got up as Yarber was finishing his statement, saying, "I don't have to stand here and take this. Somebody disagreed with me. Somebody actually called me out for my terrible statements. Blah, I got to get out of here." Okay, I got to get out of here.
That's it. See you later.
I'm gone.
Bing, 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 boom. It's gone.
Now, while he was on his way out, Lamb still attempted to shake Yarber's hand. He's in the hallway. He's like, "Hey, look, let's try to make some peace." And what did Yarber do? He refused. He refused because he's a little snowflake bitch. That's what he is. And in fact, to show you how much of a little snowflake he is, Yarber went back on Facebook the next day and started complaining. "Once again, the gay community is being allowed to say it's okay to be gay, and I have not been allowed to say, no, it's not." Okay. Whine and cry more. Look, these people, this guy is nothing but a cry bully. Oh, I'm a victim because I'm not allowed to be openly homophobic. Oh no, you're allowed to be homophobic. Now what about my free speech? Free speech doesn't mean free from consequences. It means you can say it, but one of those consequences that you have to deal with is dealing with people who might disagree with you. And that is what they cannot handle. They cannot handle somebody saying, "Actually, no, I think you're wrong." And not just I think you're wrong, you are wrong, and you are hurting people with that wrong opinion. And so they can't handle that. They can't handle that. And maybe, I don't know, if you can't handle pushback, then perhaps you should keep your shitty opinions to yourself. Just a word of advice. These people. Okay. Are brainworms contagious? Possibly. I don't know. You should ask anybody hanging out next to RFK Jr. for that one. Oh, there you go. All right. How dare you hate my hatred? I thought you were supposed to be the tolerant ones. No, we don't have to be tolerant of intolerance. That's ridiculous. That's really, really dumb. Okay? No, I'm not going to be tolerant of intolerance. I'm going to be very intolerant of your intolerance. How about that? This like super nice guy, liberal, whatever. No, F that. F that noise. I will be mean. I will be mean to bigots and homophobes and transphobes and generally bad people. And that is not a bad thing. Being mean to bad people is a good thing. And we should do it more. How's that for controversial? Okay. All right. That's it. That's all I've got for you today. So thank you for listening to the show, for watching the show. Like and share if you haven't already. Make sure to like and share the clips. Need your help on that one. So I appreciate that. Those of you who do share, we got algorithm changes and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult here on YouTube. So I don't know what's going on with that, but we could use your help. Share, like, leave a comment, all that wonderful stuff. You know, help boost me in the algorithm. Okay. With that, thank you all. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and your families, your loved ones, and we will see you back here again tomorrow.